Why can't you go faster than light? Wrong question. Here's the better one. Why can anything go slower? See, light isn't moving through space at some maximum speed. Light is showing you what speed actually is when nothing's holding you back. You, right now, sitting still. You're the weird one. You're frozen in time, relativistically speaking, crawling through space-time at a pathetic pace, because you have this inconvenient thing called mass. Light looks at you with pity. So the real horror isn't that there's a speed limit. It's that you're already trapped on the slow side of reality, and you always will be. Now I know what you've been told. The speed of light is just a big number in physics class. 300 million meters per second, give or take. Interesting, maybe, but not personal. Not life-altering. Something you memorize for a test and then forget because what does it have to do with your actual life, right? Well, let me tell you what's actually true and why I'm asking you to give me the next 15 minutes of your time, because this matters more than almost anything else I could teach you. The cosmic speed limit isn't about light. It's about you. It's the universe telling you that information, meaning connection, cause and effect, every thought you think and every word you speak has a maximum speed. And that means your choices, your words, your love, they can only propagate so fast through reality. It means simultaneity is an illusion. It means the word now is personal, not universal. Most explanations will give you math or metaphors about trains. I'm going to show you why the speed of light is the most emotionally devastating fact in physics, because it proves the universe is lonelier than you thought, more strange than you feared, and more beautiful than any story that pretends to have all the answers. You'll walk away from this understanding not just what the limit is, but why it has to exist, and what that reveals about the nature of reality, time, and your place in the machinery of existence. So stay with me. This gets weird, but I promise you it's worth it. Let me start with something I did once in a lecture hall. This was years ago, maybe 700 students packed in there, and I wanted to show them something about the nature of simultaneity. So I asked everyone in that room, to clap at exactly 10 a.m. Not approximately. Exactly. I had the clock projected on the screen. 10:00:00. Perfect synchronization, right? And they did it. They all clapped. But here's what happened. I'm standing at the front of the room, and the students in the front row, they're maybe 15 feet from me. The students in the back row, they're 60 feet away. Sound travels at about 343 meters per second. Not very fast compared to light. So even though every single person in that room clapped at the exact same moment according to the clock, I heard the front row first. And then, about 35 milliseconds later, I heard the back row. Now, 35 milliseconds doesn't sound like much. You can barely notice it. But the point is this. Even though they all clapped simultaneously, I experienced those claps at different times. The information, the sound waves, had to travel through space to reach me, and space takes time to cross. Now you might say, well, that's just sound. Sound is slow, light is faster. And you'd be right. Light is much faster. But here's the thing. Light still has a speed. It's not infinite. And that means the exact same problem exists, just on a different scale. Replace that lecture hall with the galaxy. Replace sound with light. Your now and my now, they're separated by distance and relative motion. When you look up at the Andromeda galaxy on a clear night, you're seeing it as it was 2.5 million years ago. The light that's hitting your eye right now left Andromeda before humans existed, before Homo sapiens walked the Earth. You're looking at ancient history and calling it the present. But here's where it gets really strange. An alien on a spaceship moving toward you at high speed, close to the speed of light, would see Andromeda's present as thousands of years different from yours. Not because they're measuring wrong, because now depends on your motion through space. There's no universal clock, no cosmic conductor keeping time for everyone. The speed of light isn't just limiting speed, it's murdering the very idea of a shared present moment. Think about what that means for a second. Really think about it. You and I, we think we're existing in the same now. We think that when something happens, it happens for everyone at the same time. But that's not true. That's never been true. It's an illusion created by the fact that we're moving slowly relative to each other, and we're very close together in cosmic terms. The speed of light is exposing something fundamental. Time is not a river we're all floating down together. Time is personal. Your timeline and my timeline are different threads in space-time, and they only approximately align because we're not moving very fast and we're not very far apart. Now let me tell you another story, and this one's going to sound impossible, but I need you to trust the math on this because the math is airtight. Imagine you're a photon, a particle of light. You're born in the core of the sun, let's say. Deep in there where nuclear fusion is happening, where hydrogen atoms are smashing together to make helium and releasing energy, you're created in that violence. Now, for you, and this is the part that sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. For you, from your perspective as a photon, no time passes. Literally. 0 seconds. You're emitted from the sun's core, and you're absorbed by, let's say, my eye 8 minutes later. 8 minutes for me. 8 minutes for everyone on Earth watching. But for you, instantaneous. You were born and you died in the same eternal moment. This is what happens when you travel at the speed of light. Time stops, not slows down, stops completely. From the photon's reference frame, the entire journey, whether it's 8 light minutes or 8 billion light years, takes no time at all. A photon that was created at the Big Bang and travels for 13.8 billion years before hitting a telescope. From that photon's perspective, it was emitted and absorbed in the same instant. The entire history of the universe, from its point of view, is simultaneous. Now here's the devastating part. This means reality has 2 completely different modes of experience. There's the inside perspective, timeless, immediate, eternal, and the outside perspective, which is what you and I have. Slow, sequential, mortal. We watch time pass, we age, we remember yesterday and anticipate tomorrow. But light doesn't experience duration. And there's no way to bridge these 2 modes. You can't slow a photon down to ask it what it experienced, because the moment you slow it down, it's not a photon anymore. It doesn't exist. And you can't speed yourself up to join it, because as you approach light speed, you'd need infinite energy, and your mass would approach infinity, and time would slow to a stop for you, but you'd never quite get there. The speed of light is the membrane separating eternity from history, and you're stuck on the history side, watching eternity pass you by at 300 million meters per second, unable to cross over, unable to even communicate with the other side. That's the loneliness I'm talking about. That's the isolation built into the structure of space-time itself. Let me give you a metaphor that might help. Think of space-time as a stage play. All the actors are on stage, improvising, interacting with each other. But there's a rule. You can only react to information from other actors at a maximum speed. If an actor on the far side of the stage suddenly faints, you won't know until the light from that event reaches your eyes, until the sound reaches your ears. Until then, you'll keep acting your scene, completely unaware. You might be delivering a cheerful line while someone across the stage is dying, and you won't know to change your performance until the information arrives. Now expand that stage to the size of the universe. Betelgeuse? You know that star? Big red supergiant in Orion's shoulder. It's about 640 light years away. Could be more, could be less, but roughly that distance. Now, Betelgeuse is unstable. It's going to explode as a supernova. Could be tomorrow, could be 100,000 years from now. We don't know. But here's the thing. It might have already exploded. It might have exploded last Tuesday and we wouldn't know. We wouldn't know for 640 years. The light from that explosion, the information that Betelgeuse is gone, is traveling toward us at light speed. But it hasn't arrived yet. So right now, in this moment, Betelgeuse might be completely gone. Destroyed. An expanding cloud of gas and heavy elements, But when you look up tonight, you'll see it twinkling in the sky, and you'll write poems about it, and you'll use it to navigate, and you'll point it out to your kids, and all the while you're looking at a ghost. A memory. Something that doesn't exist anymore, but you can't possibly know that yet, because the speed of light keeps you in the dark. The speed of light doesn't connect us to the universe. It isolates us. It traps us in little cones of possible knowledge, forever delayed, forever ignorant of what's really happening right now in the cosmic sense of right now, which doesn't even exist. So if the universe has this built-in delay, this information speed limit, what's it protecting? Or what's it hiding? Here's where we need to get into the real reason, the deep reason, why nothing can go faster than light. And it's not about light at all. Light speed is really the speed of causality. It's the speed of cause and effect. See, if you could send information faster than light, and it doesn't matter how, let's say you had some magical faster-than-light telephone, if you could do that, you could send a message to your past self. Not theoretically, not in some hand-wavy science fiction way. Mathematically, unavoidably, you could communicate with your own past. Here's how it works. Let's say you and I are moving relative to each other at very high speed, close to light speed. We have different definitions of now, different definitions of simultaneity. An event that's in your future might be in my past. That's just relativity. Now, if I can send you a faster-than-light message, I can send it to what I consider your present moment. But because we're moving relative to each other, what I consider your present moment, you might consider your past. So from your perspective, you just received a message from your own future, and now you can send a faster-than-light message back to me, and because of the relativity of simultaneity, that message arrives in my past. We've just created a closed loop in time, a causal loop. You can now send information to yourself before you sent it. You can tell yourself not to send the original message. You can create a paradox. You can prevent your own present from happening. And the universe doesn't allow that. Not because it's polite, not because of some law written in a cosmic rulebook, but because paradoxes are logical contradictions. They're like dividing by zero. They break the mathematics of reality. And reality runs on math. It runs on logic. It's not that the universe is enforcing a speed limit. It's that faster-than-light travel is logically equivalent to time travel into the past, and time travel into the past creates contradictions, and contradictions can't exist. So light speed isn't a speed limit on motion, it's a speed limit on causality. It's the maximum rate at which cause can produce effect. It's the cosmic refresh rate, the speed at which the universe updates from one moment to the next. And that speed happens to be 300 million meters per second. Not because there's anything special about that number, but because that's what falls out of the mathematics when you insist that the laws of physics have to be the same for everyone, no matter how they're moving. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but why do I have to obey this speed limit when light doesn't seem to have any trouble with it? Why is light special? And this is where we get into the nature of mass, and this is going to sound strange, but stay with me. You have mass. I have mass. Everything we can touch has mass, and mass is fundamentally a relationship with something called the Higgs field. You might have heard of the Higgs boson. They found it at the Large Hadron Collider a few years back. Big news. What the Higgs boson tells us is that there's a field permeating all of space, and particles acquire mass by interacting with this field. It's like moving through molasses. The more you interact with the Higgs field, the more mass you have, and the harder it is to accelerate you. Photons, particles of light, they don't interact with the Higgs field at all. They don't have mass. They're not slowed down by this cosmic molasses. So they move at the only speed they can move at, which is the maximum speed, the speed of causality itself. They're born at light speed, and they stay at light speed, and they can never slow down. They can't. If they did, they'd stop being photons. You, though, you're anchored. You're dragging this mass around, this relationship with the Higgs field, and the faster you try to go, the more energy you need. It's not linear. It's not like pushing a car where if you push twice as hard, you go twice as fast. No, as you approach light speed, the energy required approaches infinity. You'd need infinite energy to reach light speed. You can get arbitrarily close, 99%, 99.9%, 99.99%. But you can never actually get there. It's an asymptote, a mathematical wall that recedes as you approach it. And here's the really strange part. It's not like there's some external force stopping you. It's not like you're pushing against a barrier. What happens is that as you go faster, from the perspective of a stationary observer, your mass increases. You get heavier. Not because you're gaining particles, but because energy and mass are the same thing, E equals mc squared, remember? And as you pump more energy into your motion, that energy adds to your mass, which makes it harder to accelerate you further, which means you need even more energy, which adds even more mass, and on in a vicious cycle that only ends at infinity. To reach light speed, you'd have to stop being you. You'd have to shed your mass completely. You'd have to cease interacting with the Higgs field. And there's no known way to do that while remaining a coherent object. So the anchor isn't some external force. The anchor is your very existence, your substance. The fact that you're made of something rather than nothing. And this brings me to something that I think is the most emotionally devastating realization in all of this. If light traveled infinitely fast, if there was no speed limit, the universe would be a single, instantaneous now. Everything everywhere happening at once. No delay between event and observation. No distance in time. No isolation. Sounds beautiful, right? Like perfect connection. Perfect communion. Everything touching everything else in an eternal, timeless present. Except it would also mean no change. No sequence. No stories. No narrative arc to your life. Cause and effect would collapse into a single moment. You'd know the end of your life at the instant of your birth because there'd be no delay between them. There'd be no and then, no next, no surprise, no mystery, no room for choice, because choice requires a sequence, a before and an after, and if everything is simultaneous, there's no before and after. The speed of light forces separation. It forces a delay between event and observation. And in that delay, the universe gets to be surprising. Tragic, beautiful, uncertain, unknown. The speed limit isn't a flaw in the design. It's the price of narrative. It's the cost of becoming. It's what allows the universe to tell stories instead of just existing as a static, timeless block. You're living in a universe where things happen one after another because causality is limited to light speed. Your life has a direction, from past to future, because information can't travel backward. You can make choices that matter because the consequences haven't happened yet, because there's a delay, a gap, a space between action and result where reality gets to unfold. The speed of light is what gives the universe a plot. Now here's something most people don't realize, and I didn't really appreciate this until I started teaching relativity seriously. You're already time traveling. Right now, not metaphorically, physically. Every time you move, you time travel forward. Not much, not noticeably, but it's real, and it's measurable. If you get on a plane and fly across the country, your clock ticks slower than someone who stayed on the ground. By a few nanoseconds, billionths of a second. You won't notice it. You won't feel different. But atomic clocks, which are extraordinarily precise, they've measured this. They've put atomic clocks on airplanes, flown them around the world, and compared them to atomic clocks that stayed stationary. And sure enough, the flying clocks are behind. The people on the plane aged less than the people on the ground. Astronauts on the International Space Station are moving fast, about 17,000 miles per hour, and they're up there for months. Over the course of a 6-month mission, they age about 0.007 seconds less than people on Earth. 7 milliseconds. Not much, but again, it's real. It's measurable. They return to Earth slightly younger than they would have been if they'd stayed on the ground. The faster you go, the more pronounced the effect. If you could get on a spaceship and accelerate to 99% the speed of light and cruise around the galaxy for a while and then come back to Earth, you might have aged 10 years, but everyone on Earth might have aged 100 years. Or 1,000. Depends on how far you went and how fast you were going. This isn't speculation. This is just relativity. This is what the equations tell us happens. Light-speed time travel isn't some exotic, futuristic phenomenon. It's just the extreme version of what you're already doing every time you move. The universe doesn't have a normal flow of time. It doesn't have a universal clock ticking away somewhere. It has your time, my time, the astronaut's time, the photon's time. Well, no, the photon doesn't have time. It has every reference frame's time, all running at slightly different rates depending on how fast they're moving and how deep they are in a gravitational field. And the speed of light is what keeps all those different times from contradicting each other. It's the translator, the mediator, the exchange rate between different timelines. So here's a question I want you to sit with. If light connects everything by showing us the universe, by bringing information from distant stars into our eyes, but also isolates everything by limiting how fast that information can travel, is the speed of light a bridge or a barrier? And the answer, I think, is both. It's the tension between connection and separation, knowledge and mystery, that makes existence possible. Light connects us just enough to know we're not alone, but keeps us separate enough that we have to wonder, have to wait, have to hope. It's like being in a long-distance relationship with the entire cosmos. You get letters, light from distant stars, but they're always old by the time they arrive, and you can never have a real-time conversation. That's the tragedy and the beauty, all wrapped up in one number, 299,792,458 meters per second. Okay, so we're trapped. We can't beat light speed. We're stuck on the slow side of causality, dragging our mass through space-time, aging sequentially, experiencing time as a flow instead of an eternal instant. But what do we do with that? How do we live inside this cage? Because I think there's something deeply practical and even comforting in understanding these limits. Let me give you some ways to actually work with this knowledge, to let it change how you experience your life. First thing, reclaim the word now. Stop using it as if it's universal. Start noticing the delays. When you text someone across the country, you're not communicating with their now. You're communicating with their past. By microseconds, sure, but still. The signal has to travel. When you look at the moon at night, you're seeing it as it was 1.3 seconds ago. The light takes that long to get here. When you look at the sun, you're seeing it as it was 8 minutes ago. The stars? Years, centuries, millennia in the past. Practice this. Tonight, go outside, look at the moon, and say out loud, "I'm seeing you as you were 1.3 seconds ago." It sounds trivial. It sounds like a physics pedant being annoying at a party. But I promise you, if you do this enough, it rewires something. You start to feel the texture of space-time, the gaps, the delays, the loneliness baked into distance. You stop taking simultaneity for granted. And once you stop taking it for granted, you start to appreciate the miracle of the times when you are close to someone, when the delay between you is measured in nanoseconds instead of years, when your now and their now are close enough to almost touch. Second thing, honor the delay. This one's more emotional. When you're waiting for a text back, a reply, a sign from someone you love, remember, the universe has built-in lag. Information takes time, not just digitally, where the signal has to bounce through cell towers and servers. Physically, light speed is finite, sound is slower, thought is slower still. The electrical signals in your brain that constitute your thoughts, they're moving at maybe 100 meters per second, way, way slower than light. So when someone doesn't respond right away, when there's a gap between your message and their reply, You're not just experiencing social anxiety or modern communication problems, you're experiencing the fundamental structure of causality. The universe is slow. Information takes time to propagate. Even emotional information, even love, give people the grace of delayed response, because even light takes time to cross a room. Your impatience isn't a personality flaw. It's you fighting against the architecture of reality. And you're going to lose that fight every time. So let the universe be slow. Let causality breathe. Let there be gaps between action and reaction, because those gaps are where reality happens. Third thing, and this one's a little more abstract, but I find it useful. Once a week, maybe once a day if you're feeling ambitious, try this thought experiment. Close your eyes, take a breath. Imagine you're a photon. You're born in the heart of a star. Nuclear fusion creates you in a flash of violence and energy. And from your perspective, your entire journey, whether it's to the edge of the star or across the solar system or across the galaxy, happens in zero time. Your birth and death are the same moment. You're emitted and absorbed simultaneously. The billions of years that pass for external observers, they don't exist for you. You live in a single, eternal instant. Now open your eyes, come back to your body, your slow, massive, time-dilated body. Feel the contrast. Feel what it's like to be stuck in sequential time, where one moment follows another, where you age, where you remember the past and don't know the future. This isn't meditation, exactly. It's physics practice. You're training yourself to hold two incompatible perspectives at once, the eternal and the mortal, the timeless and the temporal. That's what the speed of light demands of us. It demands that we understand we're living in a universe that has these two completely different modes of being, and we're stuck in one of them, looking at the other, unable to cross over. And fourth, ask better questions. Stop asking, why can't we go faster than light? Start asking, what does the speed limit reveal about what the universe is computing? Because that's what it is, right? Reality is processing something, updating from one state to the next. And it can't do it faster than light speed. Why? What's the bottleneck? What's the universe calculating? Or ask, why does information need a maximum speed? Or, what would break if causality were instant? You won't find neat answers. Nobody has neat answers to these questions. But you'll find better confusion. You'll find the kind of confusion that leads somewhere, instead of the kind that just makes you frustrated and gives up. Better confusion is the first step toward actual understanding. Einstein didn't figure out relativity because he had all the answers. He figured it out because he was confused in exactly the right way. He asked, what if the speed of light is the same for everyone, no matter how they're moving? And that question, which seems simple, which seems almost trivial, that question broke physics wide open and forced us to rebuild our understanding of space and time from the ground up. So get curious about the speed of light. Not in a, I need to memorize this for a test way. In a, this is telling me something profound about the nature of reality way. Because it is. It's telling you that the universe is stranger than you thought, more lonely, more beautiful, more constrained, and yet somehow, within those constraints, more free. Let me bring this home now, because we've covered a lot of ground, and I want to make sure you're leaving with something you can hold on to. You came here thinking the speed of light was about physics, about numbers and equations and distant stars, about something abstract and removed from your daily life. But what you've just learned, what I hope you've just felt, is that the cosmic speed limit is about you. It's about why you can't undo the past, why you can't know the future with certainty, why the person you love feels far away even when they're sitting right next to you, because there's always a delay, always a gap between their experience and yours, between their now and your now. The speed of light is the reason time has a direction. It's the reason stories have sequences. why your life is a narrative instead of a static image. It's the reason mystery exists at all. Because if information traveled infinitely fast, if causality had no speed limit, you'd know everything instantly. There'd be no discovery, no learning, no gradual unfolding of truth. Here's the transformation, and I want you to really hear this. You're not separate from the speed of light. You're made of particles that obey it. Your neurons fire using electrical signals that move at a fraction of light speed. Your vision is photons hitting your retina. The delay between event and perception, between action and consequence, between question and answer, that's not a bug in reality. That's the operating system. That's how the universe runs. And the terror, the thing that makes this terrifying, like the title promised. The terror isn't that you're trapped below light speed. The terror is realizing the cage is also the gift. Because if information traveled infinitely fast, you'd lose surprise. You'd lose the possibility of change, of growth, of becoming something you're not yet. If causality had no speed limit, every choice you could ever make would already be determined by information from your future self, collapsing backward through time to constrain your present. The gap between cause and effect, the lag, the delay, this cosmic speed limit, that's where free will lives. That's where hope lives. That's where change becomes possible, because the future hasn't happened yet. Not for you, not in your reference frame. It's not determined, it's not written. There's a delay between action and consequence, and in that delay, you get to choose what happens next. So here's your mantra, if you want it. And you don't have to say it out loud, you don't have to write it down, but maybe let it settle into you. I am slow, and that is sacred. I am bound by causality, and that is freedom. I cannot outrun light, and that is why I can still be surprised by tomorrow. You're not broken for being stuck in time. You're not weak for being made of mass, for dragging this body through spacetime at a crawl compared to photons. You're a localized decrease in entropy, a temporary eddy in the flow of information moving through the universe at exactly the speed you're supposed to, slow enough to change, slow enough to learn, slow enough to love someone over years instead of an instant, fast enough to matter, fast enough to leave a mark, fast enough to watch the stars and wonder what they mean. And if that resonates with you, if you're sitting there right now feeling like the universe just got bigger and weirder and more heartbreaking than you thought, and maybe more hopeful too, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment. Tell me what question you're sitting with now. Tell me what part of this hit you the hardest. Tell me if you think the speed of light is a prison or a gift, or both, or neither, or something we don't have words for yet. Hit subscribe if you want more of this. If you want to keep exploring the places where physics gets emotional, where the equations have hearts, where the coldest mathematical truths turn out to be the warmest human truths when you look at them right. Because that's what I do. I take the universe apart and show you the pieces, and then we put it back together. And it's never quite the same afterward. You're never quite the same. That's the point. Thank you for staying curious. Thank you for giving me your time, which is the most valuable thing you have, because you're made of matter and matter experiences time, and you only get so much of it. Thank you for letting me talk to you like you're the only person in the room, because, in a way, you are. In your reference frame, you're the center of your observable universe, and everything else is information propagating toward you at the speed of light. And I'm honored to be part of that information stream, even if I'm already in your past by the time you hear these words. Now go outside tonight. Look at some light. Look at the stars, the moon, the streetlights, the headlights of passing cars, and remember, it's already old by the time it reaches you. Everything you see is history. You're always looking into the past, even when you look at your own hand, because light takes time to travel from your hand to your eye. You live in a universe of echoes and delays. And that's not sad. That's not limiting. That's the only reason you get to be surprised. That's the only reason anything matters at all.